And make sure that you guys always have your helmets on when you're out here securing stuff, especially when you have to climb up on top of something. That's like 13'6" high load. And I don't think your head would appreciate hitting the concrete falling off of this. What's up, guys? Here with that trucker here, and we are out in Missouri picking up a load of steel. Pretty easy load of steel, actually. You guys would look at it there, really short, super easy to secure, just straps over it. And since it's metal, I'm gonna put on some edge protectors. Even though this is like smooth to the touch, I just don't like cloth on bare metal, so I always put edge protectors on it just in case, because you don't want your straps to get torn. But all of that's not the point of this video here. Show you guys the reality of trucking. Like I said in previous videos, I do this stuff so I can show you guys the good stuff, the bad stuff, just the reality of it. So I've been out on the road for the last 2 weeks. Today's a Wednesday, and I'm going home this weekend. But right now, I'm like 15, 16 hours away from home. Now, normally you'd want to be a lot closer than that, unless you get into a situation where you get a load that shoots you from where you are to back home. This load that I got right here is going to Indiana, which is like 8 hours away, northeast of the direction that I need to be going in to go home. I've been out in the Midwest all week, which I don't have a problem with necessarily. But with this being the case, and well, let me preface it before I go into all that. I got parked up at my consignee for the load that I delivered this morning. I was parked up there last night, no problem. I got unloaded first thing in the morning, first guy to get unloaded there, around 7:30. I think I was empty. I sat and waited for a while to get dispatched. I didn't get dispatched until around noon, unfortunately, because I need directional freight, and all the freight where I was going in a direction that I do not need to be going in if I wanted to go home this weekend. All the freight was going down southwest towards the Texas area, all the stuff that was in the area that I was in, at least. So I had to sit around and wait for a while to get dispatched on this load here that's going in the direction-ish of where I need to be. So with this being a Wednesday, like I said, and this being a 8-hour drive to go deliver it, I'm not going to be able to get all the way there tonight, or I'm not going to drive all the way there tonight. I'm going to have enough hours to do it, but for me to drive all the way there tonight would mean I would be driving past midnight. Probably like 1 o'clock, around that time, a little bit after. By the time I get done securing this and putting a tarp on it, even though this is going to be really quick, just, you know, tarps where they need, or straps where they need to be, and I'll be able to cover this whole thing with one steel tarp. But if I were to drive past that midnight hour, that means my clock's not going to refresh until after 10 tomorrow, and I'm going to be stuck sitting at the consignee for this load until then. And as I told you guys previously, the longer that you wait in the day to get empty, the fewer options that you have to get you away from the area that you're in, especially when you need directional freight like I do. Tomorrow's Thursday, so I'm kind of gonna do a prediction. It's gonna have to go one of two ways tomorrow when I get rid of this load, and we'll see if it actually comes out that way tomorrow. I'll keep the video going. So tomorrow being Thursday, I'm either gonna have to get a load that I pick up tomorrow and ends up delivering on Monday, so that I can pick it up Thursday and then drive to my home location in North Carolina, because from where I'm delivering this load, it's like a 10-hour and some change drive just to go in a beeline to where I live. So I might not make, well, for sure I'm not gonna make that if I'm not gonna drive the entire 8 hours to get there tonight. I'm not gonna have enough hours on my clock to do it, because by definition, really, I need all 11 of my hours to go in a beeline home, and that's without picking up another load to take home with me. So I'm not gonna be able to do that. So I have to either pick up a load that takes me home and delivers on Monday, or I'll have to pick something up. Actually, you know what? Let me not say it yet. Let me not say it, because I'm thinking about some other things, but I don't think it's gonna work out too well. Unless, like, well, I'd have to pick something up that delivers very close to where I live tomorrow, and I wouldn't be able to drive all the hours to get it there, to park up Thursday to get there Friday. So I'd have to use some of my Friday hours to finish off the route. And if I can deliver that load, then I can pick something else up that's not very far away, and then just take that home for the weekend. So it might work out, but one of those two ways is what I'm predicting is going to happen in order for me to make it home tomorrow, or Friday. But we'll get to that when it comes. So I'm going to go ahead and secure this load, and I'm going to get out of here. As you guys can see, I put my bulkhead up already. That's as tall as I can make it. It's the entire load. I mean, well, it's got coverage just about, so the tallest tier, it's up here. I got 4 pieces of dunnage, and I can't get any taller than that because my chains simply will not be able to cover the peak to make the bulkhead. So that's as good as it's going to get. But this is standard stuff. Super light. It's like 24,000 pounds. This load is extremely light. It's placed right in the middle of the trailer, so I don't have to be worried about being overweight on any of the axles at all. I'm not going to scale this because it's super duper light, and I know for a fact I'm not going to be overweight. So just going to go ahead and throw my straps, 2 in the first 5 feet, and then I'm going to throw a strap every 4 feet after that, and I'll make sure that I have enough straps that is required for the amount of weight that is on the trailer. So simple as that, guys. And I'm going to throw my steel tarp over it, padded tarp in the front, padded tarp in the rear, because it is sharp on the ends and it will cut my steel tarp. Don't want that, but we'll do that, bunge it, and we'll be on the road. And my split log starts in like 20 minutes, and I would like to be out of here like as soon as that's ready. So let me not talk too much, guys. I'm gonna go ahead and secure this off camera. All right, guys, we're still securing this stuff. Just about done. Got all the straps thrown, but I checked something out. This stuff, it is very smooth. Like, there's no sharp edge to this at all on any of these surfaces, not over the tops, but this is kind of sharp right here. You can see it's got a little bit of an edge to it. You can see it from the side, edged, and I'm kind of concerned about my straps being tightened down against that. You can't really put an edge protector on there. Let me see if I can grab one to show you guys what I was trying to do. Where did I put that thing? All right, got one. Now see, you can't really put an edge protector in that spot to cover that up, because you know what would be holding it down? It'll fall down as soon as I let it go. So I have an idea. Is I'm gonna take my coil mats. I have 10 coil mats, and putting them horizontally like this covers all that surface area with the sharper edge, and I can still tighten down the strap over top of that, and that should solve the problem or the concern that I have for this edge right here, since there's not really anything I could put there. I mean, just because of the angle of these edge protectors, even with my metal edge protectors, the angle it's too wide and it won't stay up on top of this. So I think we should be just fine. So for anybody who gets this stuff, if you run into the same issue that I think that I might be running into, that whole coil mat resolution should work for you. It's not going to fall out because it's right there on the deck of the trailer, and it's going to be pressed up against the load because of the straps. So good luck. All right, guys, we're secured. I still got to throw my tarp up, but I want to show you guys the finished product here with the securement, so that I can give you guys verification that using your coil mats can work to protect you from these sharp edges here, as you can see. And I did that on all of the edges, so we don't have to worry about anything going down the road. And that is an Aerodite original. So if you see anybody else out here securing their pipes, steel or whatever, that same way. Ask them where they got it. I've never seen anybody else doing this. I'm sure I'm not the very first person that's ever thought of this, but hey, and it works, it works. So I'm gonna go ahead and throw my tarps up here. Like I said, padded tarp on the front and the back, then that lone steel tarp will cover this whole load with space to spare, so we can get out of here. My split log is already started, so my time is frozen right now, and I've already got a plan for what I'm going to be doing as far as like how far I'm going to drive. A few different options, but I'll explain that when we're done and back in the truck. All right guys, we are done. We are strapped down and tarped up and ready to get on the road. Now, as I was saying, I have a plan for driving tonight. I checked, and if I were to try to go to the Constantine all the way, that basically 8-hour drive there, I wouldn't get there till like 2:30 a.m. And needless to say, I'm not gonna do that, you know, for multiple reasons. You know, for one, if I didn't get to the Constantine until 2:30, which is the time that it's saying now, my clock would not refresh until 12:30 tomorrow afternoon, and I would have to wait that long to get rolling again, unless I did a split log, which I don't know how long or how much time I'm going to gain back on my clock if I only take an 8-hour break as opposed to a 10. So I'm not going to do that. I don't like driving late like that anyway. The only time I would drive late like that, or it's the early morning hours, is if I were trying to get home and it was Friday and I had enough hours to make it. I've done that before, but we're trying to make a delivery, so I'm not going to do that because that's going to mess my day up, my work day up tomorrow. There won't be much freight left over if I do that kind of thing. So I'm going to aim to drive about between 5 and 6 hours. And what I did for that, because I've been up for a long time, I've been up since like 6 a.m. this morning. Right now it's 5:38. But actually, I think I'm gonna still be in the central time zone when I stop regardless, so it might not make too much of a difference. But since it's gonna be a little bit later when I stop driving tonight, I planned 2 different parking spots. You know, I got a parking spot planned for 6 hours away, and I also have a parking spot picked out for 5.5 hours away, and another one for 5 hours away. That way, you know, I'll drive the majority of the way. I feel confident in my energy level right now that I'll be able to stay awake and alert and energized for that long. And if I start to, you know, waver or get a little bit tired, I can cut it off at those 30-minute intervals, because I have 3 different parking spots spaced apart for myself tonight. So that's just something for yourselves when you're out here driving. Plan your parking spots accordingly. If you want to get to a certain distance, but you think you might not get there, you think you might get tired, or you think the place you're planning to get to might already be filled up, whether it's a rest area, a truck stop, or whatever, plan a few parking spots, like 3. Like at a minimum, always plan 2 parking spaces, unless you are going somewhere where you know for a fact you will have parking guaranteed to you. Like if you're going to your home parking spot, or you're going to a terminal or something, or you're going to a Constantine that says they have on-site parking. Like if you know for a 100% fact that your parking will be available for you whatever time you get there, then go ahead and drive as far as you feel like you can go. But if not, plan a few spaces before where you're trying to arrive at. That way you have places just in case. So I'm gonna go ahead and head out here. It's gonna say by the time I get to my selected location, it's gonna be around 10:30, between 10:30 and 11:30, depending on how traffic's going. Hopefully there's no rush hour traffic. The distance that I have to go is about 5:40 right now. So I'm gonna go ahead and get on the road, guys, and we'll see what tomorrow has in store for us. I'm probably gonna try to run an 8-hour break, an 8-hour split after I stop tonight, just so I can go ahead and get the load delivered, because this load has to be delivered by a certain point in time tomorrow. I think it's 2 p.m. So if I can get that off the trailer earlier, then I stand a chance of having better directional freight available to me that's going to aim me in the direction of home, so I can get home tomorrow. That's the plan, but we'll see tomorrow morning how much time is on my clock after 8 hours and some good sleep. So without further ado, let's get on the road. All right guys, good morning. And we ended up driving for about 4.5 hours last night. It wasn't as far as I was originally planning to go, but that's just because the place that I had planned on parking, I checked on Trucker's Path during one of my load checks when I was about an hour and a half away, and it was saying that the lot was already full at the rest area. With that being the case, there weren't any other rest areas beyond where I wanted to go, and then there weren't any rest areas for about 45 minutes or so before I arrived at my original planned location, the first one there. So I just decided to stop at this pilot here, which actually Trucker's Path was saying this pilot was full, and it actually was, except for some reserved spots. But when I drove around the lot, luck was in my favor, because I was driving around the lot in the very back of the parking lot back there. When I was swinging around the bend about to make a corner, I was driving away and somebody was pulling out, leaving right as I lined myself up with their parking spot. As much of a coincidence as that is. But yeah, I just stayed here last night, which worked out fine. Got here around, I think it was like 11:15 or something like that last night. Got a shower, went to bed, and now I'm actually leaving. I just got some fuel. I'm about to leave after my 8-hour break, just because since I'm going into the Eastern time zone, I'm in Central right now, I'm gonna be losing an hour of time. So it's gonna be around noon by the time I get to the consignee, be a little bit after noon. So the sooner the better as far as me getting unloaded, so I have a better chance of getting some directional freight that's gonna aim me in the direction I need to go without waiting for a ton of time. I'm gonna have to do a 2-hour break later on to get the rest of my time back. I got 5.5 hours available on my drive clock and like 8.5 hours on my duty time. So I have 3 hours to go to arrive at the consignee. So I'm gonna go ahead and head out now, and we'll pick things up when I arrive there, and hopefully they get me unloaded quick and I have a quick dispatch that I don't have to wait for. Let's go. All right guys, we made it to the consignee, and we're inside their warehouse right now. Like, it's like a huge, well, kind of big warehouse. Drove underneath. We're in here getting unloaded right now, and we have our next dispatch, and my prediction from yesterday was true. Since I'm so far away from home, the load that I got dispatched on today is a load that I'm taking home. And today's Thursday, and I'm way up north in Indiana, and I need to be going to North Carolina. I'm pretty far away. No way I'm gonna make it there. It will be very slim. You know, I'd have to pick something else up and then deliver something in line to where I'm going to get down south, and then drive from there to pick something else up tomorrow after I deliver a load if I picked up today, and then go home. It's too risky. So got a load, pays pretty decent to make up for the load that I'm gonna miss out on this week, since I'm gonna be taking this load straight home. So I'm not upset by that. It's all right. But the thing about it is we have 2.5 hours on our clock right now because of that split log that we did this morning, only taking an 8-hour break, and we still need to take a 2-hour break. And the distance for the load that we got to go pick up, 2 hours and 7 minutes, which leaves me very, very little cushion, slightly over 10 minutes, maybe 15 or so, around that of cushion time. So I'm gonna go for it. I'm gonna try to make it all the way there before my time runs out, get to the shipper, get loaded, secured, take my 2-hour break there, get the rest of my time back, and then drive as far as I care to today, and drive the rest of the way to get home tomorrow. We'll see if I can do this. If traffic is in my favor, it looks like on my routing here, I'm gonna be going on back country routes and not being on the main highway at all. Yeah, back country routes, so I shouldn't have anything slowing me down, ideally. And right now my duty time is at 3 hours and 19 minutes, and like I said, I have 2 hours 25 minutes of drive time right now. So my duty time's not going to catch up to my drive time before I get on the road and headed in the direction I need to go. They got a few bundles on the truck, so it shouldn't take them very much longer, and I'm going to be out as soon as I can, and making a beeline for this next shipper, because I would hate to get almost there and then have to stop short somewhere and sit there for 2 hours. Now this shipper loads until 9 p.m. So I mean, if that does happen, you know, it won't hurt me because I'll have my split log taken care of, the 2-hour break before the shipper is done loading for the day, well before that. But needless to say, I don't want that to happen. I don't want to have to sit dead in the water for 2 hours and then drive, you know, 40 minutes down the road, you know. But we'll do what we got to do along the way. I picked the fastest route to the shipper. It's not the shortest route as far as miles. It's like 10 miles more, but it saves me 15 minutes. And you know, with the situation that I'm about to be in right here, I need to have all of the time on my side that I can have so I can make it to this place before my time runs out. But just in case I run into anything sticky, I'm gonna look and see what parking areas are gonna be along my way, you know, truck stops, rest areas, in case like it's looking like I'm not gonna make it. If I get held up in traffic along the way and my time available to me is less than the time that I have to drive, I'm just gonna stop, because I'm not gonna give myself a clock violation when I don't have to. Especially when I'm not pressed as far as having to deliver this load next day. You know, I'm gonna get home for sure regardless, like I said, because I'll be able to pick up all the way up till 9 p.m. and tomorrow's Friday, and I've still got all the rest of the time that I'm gonna have on my clock once my split log is complete. So we'll do what we gotta do, and I'll see you guys on the other side, whether or not I am successful. Hopefully I am. All right, guys, we made it. We're here at the shipper, and the description of the load I was picking up was roofing other than metal product, and I was thinking it was going to be that rolled roofing, but it's actually insulation. So it's going to be very easy to secure this. We have to tarp it, fortunately or unfortunately, depending on your inclination with that. You know, if I'm getting paid for it, I'm cool with it. It takes more time, but I got to sit here anyway because of that whole 2-hour split log thing. But on that note, let me show you guys. We made it here with 19 minutes left on our clock. 19 minutes. I drove the heck out of that route, and fortunately my prediction was correct with my my route for that. The vast majority of the time coming over here for that 2.5 hours was in state highways and country routes that had little to no traffic. I just had a little bit of traffic once I left the previous consignee because I was like in a town there, but after I got out of there, on my way to here, all scenic view, no traffic, which is exactly what I needed, because 20 minutes is not a lot of time, really. You know, especially if I got held up by any detours or traffic lights. You know, you think about getting held up at a traffic light at about, you know, 2 to 3 minutes a pop, sitting at a light. Depending on how many lights I went through, that could have whittled that 20 minutes down very quickly, which is why I'm thankful I didn't have to drive through a city. And I was out here where there's not a whole lot of traffic. It's looking like I've got 11 hours to drive to get home, which is not a big deal since I have the rest of my clock today after this split log, and then I'll have all of tomorrow after I take a 10-hour break to make it home. Based off of my estimation, I should have about 5.5 hours on my clock after the split log is finished in 2 hours, because I drove 3 hours to get to the consignee for the load that we delivered earlier, and I drove about 2.5 hours to get here from there. That's about 5.5 hours roughly. So should have about 5.5 hours left on my clock, I think, but we'll see in a couple of hours here. But thankfully at this place there is plenty of space for me to just sit and wait once I'm done getting loaded. I've been to this place once before. It was over a year ago. I thought that the address on my load screen looked vaguely familiar, and I recognized the name of the city. But as I got closer and closer to this place, I started recognizing, you know, little spots of the area, and I'm thinking like, oh, I think I've been around here before. But when I pulled around and saw this building, I was like, yep, I remember this place. And there was only one other guy here when I pulled up, and they just pulled him into the bay like pretty much as soon as I got here. And that forklift operator, I see somebody driving towards me this way. They might be coming to get me. Go ahead and get this truck ready. Might have to cut this off real quick, guys. I think it's about to be my turn. All right, guys, that was my call to be getting loaded, and that is taking place right now. And with the time that it is right now, it's about 4:50. I went into sleeper berth at 4:45, so I have to sit here for a couple hours until 6:46, because I always wait 1 minute after my split log actually starts. Always wait 1 minute after, that way everything is properly registered on my clock, and I don't have to worry about messing my time up because I jumped the gun. Like I said, always wait 1 minute after whatever your time limit is that you're trying to wait for something, whether that's a 10-hour break, 8-hour break, split log, 34-hour reset. Always wait 1 minute after whatever the time it needs to be. But I need to wait until 6:46 p.m. and then I'll have my split log. I'll get the remainder of my time on the clock, and I can drive and get myself somewhere to park for the evening, which is my next priority. I gotta plan a few parking spaces. With me going home tomorrow and taking this load home, I don't have to be super pressed about driving a ton of hours tonight. I'll probably have around 5.5 or 5 hours, I think. But with me being a little bit over 11 hours away from home, like 11 hours, 15 minutes, technically for myself to be comfortable, I need to drive at least 2 or 3 hours. That way, when I have my full 11-hour clock tomorrow, I will have a few hours less than 11 hours to get home. And that way I can comfortably and easily make it home without being stressed about running out of time on my clock, or if I have like a traffic delay on my way home. You know, you need to at least whittle down enough time to account for that. Never leave a full 11 hours of driving ahead of you for the next day if you can help it. You know, so we'll do that. I think there's going to be some rest areas and truck stops. I think there's a pilot in Chillicothe, Ohio, but I don't think I'm going to try to drive that far, because that's going to be about 4 or 4.5 hours away. And if I leave right when my split log starts at 6:45, that means I'll get around there sometime around 11 p.m. and all the parking spots in that area might already be taken up, because I don't think there's a whole lot of other truck stops or rest areas in that general vicinity. So all the drivers that are around that area are probably going to converge on that spot, being that time of night. So I'll probably stop short somewhere else at a rest area, or, you know, a place that has a cluster of truck stops, or a mom and pop shop or something, and prioritize just finding a solid, reliable parking space versus trying to drive as far as I can, because I'll have all of tomorrow to drive, as long as I drive for long enough tonight. So we'll get that done. I've secured insulation loads before. I already have a video about that, so I probably won't record myself securing this one. I might show you guys how I have to tarp it here, because tarping at this place can be a little bit sketchy. You have to use one of those climbing ladders that looks like a staircase, and get up on top of your load, and use the safety harness. So I might show you guys the setup for that. But other than that, I want to get the load secured and tarped quick enough so that I can sleep for, you know, 30 minutes or so at least. and refresh myself a little bit. I don't feel tired right now, but keep in mind I did wake up early so that I could get my 8-hour break taken care of, so I could get to the continent earlier this morning. So I shorted myself on 2 hours of sleep that I normally would have gotten. So just want to make sure that I'm fresh before I get out there and start driving. There's never a reason for you to be out there driving tired if you don't have to, because that just increases the possibility of you having an accident and making your day and anybody else's who's involved in that worse. So it's not worth it. So I'm gonna take a nap before I leave, and we'll get home tomorrow, which I am looking forward to, because like I said, I've been out on the road for the last couple of weeks, and I'm ready for some of Mrs. Erudite's home cooking. Yes, while Mrs. Erudite does prepare all my food that I take out on the road, there's nothing like having a hot cooked meal versus having to reheat something that's pre-made for me. But we'll get to that tomorrow. I'm gonna chill out until these guys are done scooting around out here loading me up. All right, guys, insulation load, like I said, if you've seen one of them, you've seen them all pretty much. Most of the time they're this size. Sometimes you'll get some that are like a little bit smaller than that, but we're gonna go ahead and do the 2 straps up there. And of course, you always want to have 2 straps close to the very front, that way the wind doesn't catch underneath your top tier and basically blow it open and make it fray and damage the freight. And then it's going to be 2 straps per bundle, one in the front, one in the rear on each stack, with our X straps in the very rear. Now, I had to pull back out of this canopy right here. This is where the tarping takes place, and there's the ladder that I was telling you guys about right there. And the harnesses are in that black box. But I'm gonna go ahead and throw my straps outside. It doesn't matter if this stuff gets wet. It's not getting tarped because of that. It's getting tarped to protect it from getting scratched and damaged, because I have to drive so far with it. You know, we're driving over 700 miles with this stuff, so I think over 750. And this customer has a stipulation, anything more than 750 miles to deliver it, they want it tarped. And like I said, that's to protect it from making contact with anything, branches, brushes, brushing up against stuff and damaging the insulation. But I had to pull back out of here because I could throw my straps from the driver's side over to the passenger side, no problem. You see how narrow this lane is. It's just enough space to back your trailer into. And standing right here, I wouldn't have enough space to throw my straps over top of the passenger side the other way. That train was pretty close, yeah, it was just because it'd be easier for me to throw my straps over this way. So I'll go ahead and throw the straps down, put my edge protectors up, and then I'll back under there and tarp everything down. They already put my tarps up top for me before I pulled out. They're sitting on top of the load. You see one of them right there, but go ahead and do that, and then we will be good to go. Waiting for the split log to be complete. I know it's not going to take me very long to do this. I've done insulation like dozens and dozens of times in the past, so let's go ahead and knock this out. It's raining a little bit, but I want to get this done soon enough so I can go ahead and take a nap before I get out of here, because I don't really want to linger around here too long if I don't have to. All right, guys, I got everything strapped down. Now I got to climb up on top of the load, and like I said, you got to put on a safety harness, and I'm going to show you guys how to do that. Anybody who's not familiar with it, put it on the proper way so that you can be safe when you climb up on top of the load. So it looks like a big old pile of straps at first, but it's easy to figure out. It's going to have 2 loops down here at the bottom, 1 loop, 2 loops, and those are for your legs. So let me see if I can get myself into frame. You guys can see me putting this thing on. Other. You want to work right up your leg, and then you put the rest on. like a backpack. And you want to go ahead and take this buckle here, and it goes through this loop. That way it guards you from the chest. And then you want to go ahead and tighten up these leg straps here. Because you want this thing to be snug so it supports you if you somehow fall off the trailer. There we are. Same thing with the chest. Right, there we are. It's nice and snug. And now we have to go over here and grab this tether. There's one that's all the way up there at the top of the ladder, which kind of defeats the point of wearing the harness, having to climb up high to go get that in the first place. That's dumb. I don't know who put that up there. That's supposed to be down on the ground. Now this is the one I'm going to use because it's safer. I don't have to risk my life to go get the line. This one has a rope attached to it. Right there. And let's pull this rope down. And here is the hook that's going to hook to the back of this harness, and it's going to support me if I fall off. Anybody that's watching this video, if you've ever gone rock climbing at an indoor facility, it's something, well, it's pretty much exactly like this. Now if you fall off, once this thing feels too much tension, it freezes and it'll stop your fall. So let me see if I can tug on it real hard. It should stop moving like immediately if I tug on it fast enough. See, like slow, it moves well, so you can just walk around, move around on top of your trailer. But just assume like you fall off the trailer. Exactly, that's how it's supposed to work. This is you freely moving around, and give it a quick yank again, simulating a fall off of the trailer. Stops immediately, it won't go anywhere. And that's just me doing a pre-check on that, making sure that this safety equipment works properly before I attach myself to it and risk my life on top of that trailer there. It's especially risky now because you guys saw me securing this in the rain, so that means the top of this is wet. And when plastic gets wet, it is very slippery, very, very slippery, and I do not want to fall off of this trailer and severely injure myself or lose my life. So we're good to go. I'll hook myself up to this, and then I'm going to go ahead and get this tarped up, and we're going to be ready to get on the road. And make sure that you guys always have your helmets on when you're out here securing stuff, especially when you have to climb up on top of something. That's like 13'6" high load. And I don't think your head would appreciate hitting the concrete, falling off of this. All right guys, let me show you another safety tip with this. Now I put this ladder up. If you notice, the ladder has a cage on the outer perimeter to make sure you don't fall sideways, and it's open on the opposite side so you can walk off the ladder onto your load. But these ladders, they have this foot lever here, and that puts the brakes on the ladder. But I also, well, it puts the brakes on the ladder and it stops it from rolling backwards or forwards. But I put an added precaution in here when I do this. I take the base of the ladder and I put it right behind my tires to make sure that this thing does not roll forward, because there's no brakes over there, just the locking lever, and it's pretty sturdy. But this way I know for a fact it will not move forward on me, because the tray or the ladder is going to have a little bit of force from me walking up the ladder going that way. So if it were to move, it would be moving that way. So I got the brakes set in the front and the trailer tire stopping it from going anywhere that direction, so it can't move backwards or forwards. This should be completely safe. Now all I got to do is just hook that line to the back of my harness, and I should be 100% safe up there. Still gonna watch my footing though, because it's wet. got both tarps rolled out, nice and safe. Didn't slip, didn't fall. Now we have to bungee everything down, but to end the dangerous part of this, we still got to climb back down. So let me show you guys how I always do it, and it minimizes risk. Now you have the harness attached in case you fall off, but when you're getting on this ladder, I still stay on all fours basically. I'm sitting on my behind right now, and you want to make sure that this line is not tangled up in anything, any of the raptors or whatever is up there. And this is the little tether rope. You want to make sure you have all of that in your hand so that doesn't get caught on anything while you are descending this ladder. And I steadily, and I just basically move myself over, and you definitely don't want to have any pushing motion against this thing, pushing it away from the trailer while you're sitting on it. But I get all points of my body. Oop, get right there. Basically transition myself from the trailer to the ladder without standing up on it. And then before I start descending the ladder, I turn myself around, maintain 3 points of contact at least every time. Got my hand holding onto it, got both feet on it, and you just want to transition. And look at that, that rope tries to get caught. Make sure nothing's caught before you start climbing down. It's the fine details, guys. That's how a lot of people get hurt, not paying attention to that. Make sure it's not catching on anything. Hold any loose ends in your hand, in one hand, and then still try to hold on to the ladder until you get all the way to the bottom safely. And we did it. Another successful tarping on a high load without getting injured. It's a win in my book. So go ahead and take all this harness gear off, and we'll put our bungees on, and we are going to be ready to leave. All right, guys, we're done. Everything is finished, and as you can see, it's dark now. Good old daylight savings time. But it's 7:30 in the evening right now, and I'm probably gonna drive for like 2.5 or 3 hours. That'll have me stopping around 10:30-ish, and we'll be in a good position to drive the rest of the way tomorrow. Knocking off 3 hours today, we'll have like 8 hours to go tomorrow, so very doable. Plenty of spare time because I already know the way that I'm going. I've traveled through this way before, so shouldn't be anything holding me up. But tomorrow's just me driving home, guys, so I'm not gonna record any of that. And I'm gonna go ahead and knock the video off there, guys. Everything worked out about as well as it could have, considering how yesterday was going with me having a bit of a hang up waiting for a little while to get a dispatch. But worked out according to my assumptions, so I'm happy with it. Not really losing out on any money because of how much this one pays. And I get to go home tomorrow. It'll be all good. So I'm gonna go ahead and get driving, guys. I got a few hours ahead of me. I appreciate you all watching. I'll see you all further down the road. Make sure you're liking, commenting, and subscribing. Ear Eye Trucker out.